Chiefs news, analysis, and opinion every day. The Kansas City Chiefs were back in action in St. Joe today for day 11 of training camp, and we've got a lot of stuff to get into today, guys, so we have to jump right in. This comes to us from Charles Goldman, Padless 10-10-10 practice for the Chiefs Saturday. That means you can take the highlight plays with a grain of salt, as the offense/defense will serve various looks and have specific goals they're looking to achieve on any given rep. Think of it as a walkthrough with a bit more speed and nuance involved. And as a public service announcement, I am here to tell you I refuse. I will only overreact to everything that we are here to see and hear today. This comes to us from Katie Marr. Happy Sunday. At the podium today, Jaylen Royals, Jalen Moore, Jawan Taylor. I don't often comment on this, but when the players are Jalen, and Jawan, this is not a jacksident. This is on purpose. Someone has a sense of humor. Jumping into the actual notes for things now. Not practicing today, Hollywood Brown, Jake Brenningstool, Jared Wiley, Drew Tranquil, Dion Bush, Christian Fulton. Sky Moore is back with a compression sleeve on his right leg. Hollywood is stacking absences, not plays. So we don't know the extent of anything, right? This might just be as a precaution. They just might be saying, okay, well, he tweaked something. He has a history with this. Sit him on the sidelines. Don't let him in. Get him to the regular season. Cover him in bubble wrap if you must. And let's play football now. That might be what is going on with Hollywood Brown. I would like to hope that's what's going on with Hollywood Brown. We got further than this last year before he was injured, so it is difficult to say. Then we get this from Farzan. If you look closely, Hollywood Brown is in the training tent on the bike, hopefully close to coming back. Chiefs don't practice tomorrow, so the earliest he could return would be this Tuesday. The Kansas, you see him, I think, right here. Is that what we're looking at right there? The Chiefs really are gearing up to have the greatest fourth wide receiver in the NFL with Hollywood Brown. So I will talk about this a little bit later as well, but I went back and I rewatched the AFC Championship game from this past season. And if the Kansas City, I really do believe this, if the Kansas City Chiefs had had Hollywood last year, things would have gone very differently. In that game, he connected with Mahomes a few times, and the plays were really, really good. But there were a couple times where they just didn't connect, and you have to wonder if that game were, instead of kind of the first time we saw Hollywood Brown, the culmination of a 17-game regular season, would Hollywood Brown have been more in tune with Patrick Mahomes? Here we are having Hollywood Brown in his second preseason, missing basically all of it so far. So we're just going to have to see with Hollywood. It's been a journey with Hollywood. At least they didn't break the bank on him. He signed with the Kansas City Chiefs last year, I think, as a little bit of a prove-it deal. And had he been on the field, he could have cashed in for a really good payday this year, because I think he probably would have been a 1,000-yard receiver last year if he had had the opportunity to do so. And here he is again for another 1 year, $5 million or whatever, and already not taking advantage. Well, and I'm not trying to chide Hollywood Brown. It just stinks because he's got a lot of talent and he can't stay on the field. Then we get this note here. Again, I have broken things down into sort of position group by position group, so it won't be completely chronological. And this video will be in the training camp playlist here on the channel, where I only cover the Kansas City Chiefs. So consider checking out that playlist if that's something in which you might find yourself interested. Bolton crashing in off the right side on a blitz. Mahomes just leans back and hits Worthy on the crosser in the end zone for a touchdown where the blitz vacated. This is terrifying for the NFL. This should be absolutely terrifying for everyone. Not only is Patrick Mahomes here on day 11 of training camp in mid-season form, but it appears that Xavier Worthy is picking up right where he left off with Patrick Mahomes. They are on the same page, and if Worthy becomes a safety valve, the type of safety valve that used to be Travis Kelce, that used to be Tyreek Hill, if Worthy is able to work his way into the trust of Mahomes and become that safety valve, and they do get that connection going, Xavier Worthy has a 4.21 40. Maybe you've heard this before, but he could be absolutely dangerous from anywhere on the field. And part of that connection is knowing when to break off a route, knowing when to run deep instead of across, right? Knowing when to stop and reverse field. That is the page that Mahomes and Kelce have always been on together, and that connection has been very fruitful for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in the playoffs. If that is instead of Travis Kelce moving forward, because I think we all believe Travis Kelce is going to retire, if that becomes Xavier Worthy, the offense becomes a deep threat again. And it will be hard, very hard, to get the Chiefs off of the field on third down. Mahomes with a laser to Worthy deep crossing route. Worthy made a fast ball catch look routine. Great hand-eye coordination here. Laser plus deep plus Worthy equals the NFL is in danger. This is going to be a very short season in my prediction. And what I mean by that is that even last year, even as a creator last year, boy, was it an arduous year. Boy, was it rough sometimes looking at that game and thinking, I got to talk about something here. What's going to happen? Just throw the microphone on and I'll see where it goes, because I have some notes, but I don't think it's going to be that type of season this year. I think these games, these weeks are going to go by very, very fast because they're going to be very, very fun to watch. I'll say it again, because we have to be prepared for this. It is possible that the Kansas City Chiefs are a much better team than last year and still win fewer games. So just keep that in your mind. 2 notes on Jaylen Royals here. Matt McMullen saying Jaylen Royals with a strong physical catch in the end zone despite tight coverage during 11-on-11 red zone drills continues what has been an impressive camp. And then Oladokin on the rollout, he put some heat on the throw to Royals for a 5-yard touchdown. This pair of tweets, Jaylen Royals with a physical catch in the end zone despite tight coverage, Oladokin on the rollout put some heat on the throw for a 5-yard touchdown, in comparison to yesterday's tweet where Jaylen Royals took what would have been a 10-yard reception, reversed field, and took it the length of the field for a touchdown without even being touched. This is a special wide receiver. He is big enough to be the big guy, 6'205". He is fast enough to be the fast guy, 4.42 40, 153 10. He is everything that every position on the field for the Chiefs will require. He can play the X, he can play the Y, you can put him in the slot, you can motion him around, you can motion him and give him the handoff. He is everything the Chiefs will require at any of these positions. So worth keeping an eye on Jaylen Royals for the future. I think, again, Hollywood Brown misses time. Rashee Rice has the suspension. You will see Jaylen Royals steadily climb the depth chart as the year goes on. He is going to make Hollywood Brown's exit from the Kansas City Chiefs in the 2026 season digestible. He might make Rashee Rice and his exit from the Chiefs eventually digestible as well. We have to see what happens there, but you can't keep everybody, and Brett Veach has kept everybody. So eventually, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to start losing players from somewhere. And all the drafting of wide receivers they're doing Speaking of wide receivers, Jason Brownlee is having one of his best days of camp while I've been up here, said by Nick Jacobs, who then says, Minshew with the fade to Brownlee to the front pylon, he elevates for the touchdown catch. He appeared to get both feet in and control, but need a replay to confirm. Noel Williams tried his best, but Brownlee has hops. This is a type of receiver that Patrick Mahomes has not had. He has not had the big, sturdy wide receiver who will go up and get the ball. Just hasn't happened yet. Then we get this. Jason Brownlee might be leading the team today with 4 elevations, all 4 touchdowns. 3 in team, 1 in 7-on-7. This is Jason Brownlee. Nearly 10-inch hands at 9.75, nearly 34-inch arms, 33 3/4-inch arms, an overall athletic score of 8.92, 6 foot 2 inches tall, 198 pounds, 16 reps on the bench press, 39.5-inch vertical, 10 foot 11-inch broad jump. So you want to talk about having hops. 6 foot 2, pretty good height for a wide receiver, 33 3/4-inch arms. That's impressive. Add that onto a 39.5-inch vert. That is dangerous. Now, a 4.59 40-yard dash is not ideal. But you've got a 1.56 10-yard split. You have a 2.62 20-yard split. Anywhere inside the red zone, this guy can get in the end zone and elevate to make that catch. I'm excited to see Patrick Mahomes with a target like that on the field. The last time I remember really seeing someone go up and snag a touchdown from Mahomes, I believe was it the 2019 season where Kelsey was in the end zone against the Browns and he made that wild catch that was, I think, cross-body. He was coming back to get it. That was it. That was the last we really saw of it. 3-cone drill here for Brownlee of 4.32 and a short shuttle of 4.32, 3-cone drill of 6.91. Neither of those particularly impressive numbers, but overall as an athlete with an 8.92, the Chiefs this year are going to have to part ways with several players that we do not want to see them lose. The roster is just too stacked. The roster is too strong at too many positions. There's going to be players go that we don't want to see go. My only hope at this point is that they shine and shop them. So once you get into preseason week 2, you just throw the ball to Jason Brownlee if he's not going to make the roster and see if you can move him for somebody's 7th round pick, something like that. Mahomes with a quick pass to Pacheco in the flats for a touchdown. Mahomes pushes it deep to Pacheco on a vertical with Jack Cochran in coverage. Mahomes lofts it up for 50 yards plus touchdown throw. Guys, I went back, like I said, and watched the AFC Championship game again, and I am here now to tell you that if Isaiah Pacheco starts getting receptions, it is game over for the NFL, because I really do believe after watching that AFC Championship game that Kareem Hunt is going to be good all year this season. He wore down last year, and he had a little bit of that pop back for the playoffs, but he was not the same. He was diminished. We never really saw Kareem Hunt return to the form where he was a receiving threat. This season, if he is in that type of shape, Kareem was a nightmare out of the backfield when he was a receiving threat. Just ask the Patriots. So if Smith, Pacheco, and Hunt, all three of those guys are receiving threats and big play threats to boot, there's nothing anyone can do. Because, okay, just pretend Isaiah Pacheco becomes that receiving threat. Big, strong guy, runs a 4.37 40. If he does everything right, he can be a receiving threat on the field. I think we all are ready for Brashard Smith to be a receiving threat. Now the Kansas City Chiefs line up with 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end. You have Isaiah Pacheco as a fullback Brashard Smith as a halfback, but really it's the same thing as having 5 wide receivers on the field because Brashard Smith and Isaiah Pacheco can catch out of the backfield, and Travis Kelce is a receiving threat as a tight end. What personnel group do you go with? The Chiefs have 2 running backs and a tight end on the field. You have to go with 3 linebackers. But if you put 3 linebackers on there and Mahomes decides, well, that's awfully heavy in the box, we're going to go ahead and chuck this ball. You've got 3 linebackers on the field with Travis Kelce, Brashard Smith, and Isaiah Pacheco all running 10-yard out routes, whatever you want to do with them. That becomes very difficult to stop. And I don't know what, just from a personnel group situation, what do you do in that position? Because if you call the wrong thing, they're going to run the ball up your gut because they have a massive interior offensive line. Kingsley Suamataia, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith. They'll get 4 yards. They'll take it. But if you call the big boys in, you have 3 linebackers on the field. Oh, okay. So you're telling me there's going to be a linebacker in man coverage on 2 of these 3 guys. All right. Nick Jacobs then goes on to say Brashard Smith showcasing a quick, decisive cut and explosiveness through the hole. So this is the big question with Brashard Smith. Can he run in the NFL? We saw him tear up college football to the tune of 1,400 yards last year. Does that translate to the NFL when he is undersized? Minshew with a check down to Brashard Smith in the flats for the touchdown. Do you know what this is? I'll tell you. This is Jerick McKinnon's stat sheet. That orange line there is the 2022 season. Now, he had 72 runs for 291 yards and a touchdown. That's a 4-yard average. It's a good average, but it's not incredible, right? 4, 8, 12. You give it to him 3 times, you've got a first down. Great. But that's not where Jerick McKinnon made his money in 2022. No, where Jerick McKinnon made his money in 2022 is over here. 56 receptions, 512 yards, 9 touchdowns, 28 first downs. Brashard Smith, in my opinion, can do this in this offense. Now, Jerick McKinnon gets disrespected too much. Jerick McKinnon was an absolute freak of an athlete. Don't believe me? Go check his testing numbers. But if he can be half of that, if he can be a 254 touchdown receiver, well, he's got Sky Moore's career high beat, right? So just keep an eye out on Brashard Smith and how they decide to use him, because the backfield is getting very, very interesting for the Chiefs. And I just want to see how it starts. I'm ready to simulate forward to the regular season. Melvin Smith, this comes from Nick Jacobs. Melvin Smith jumped the slant and almost had a pick of the zappy pass. He dropped it. Melvin Smith. Who is Melvin Smith? Well, let me tell you. Cornerback out of Southern Arkansas. I believe I made a video on him in the playlist. I might not have, but 5'10" and 4'10", so he's a little bit undersized, 190 pounds, 13 reps on the bench press, but he has a 38.5-inch vertical. Yeah, I made a video on him because I said he reminds me of Mighty Mouse. Watching him reminds me of Mighty Mouse, Mark McMillan. 10-foot broad jump, 4.39 40-yard dash, 1.49 10-yard split, even had a 2.52 20-yard split. These are elite numbers here. A short shuttle of 4.19 and a 3-cone drill of 7.13. This number is a little bit concerning if you're playing cornerback in the NFL. I believe Melvin Smith is a strong candidate for the practice squad, and he could be next year's Najee Johnson. Remember, Najee Johnson didn't play at all his rookie season either, after entering as a 7th-round pick. But I do think that Melvin Smith could basically redshirt this year. I don't think that he's shown anything that anyone would snag him through the waiver wire and end up being a practice squad player until he becomes a special teams player next year and maybe graduates on to the defensive side of the ball the year after. Jones and Karlaftis cause a ball to flutter from Mahomes. Jaden Hicks comes up with the interception. We've talked a lot about Jaden Hicks this preseason. This is his RAS score, 8.96. You have a 6'2", 211-pound safety with a 37.5-inch vert who runs a 4.5 flat 40 and a 6.88 three-cone drill. Were it not for that short shuttle number of 437, and I don't think it would have to be much lower in order to get him into the yellow there, would have been over 9 on the RAS, and he's a guy that I really believe has a lot of potential, has a lot of ability to be a game changer for the Kansas City Chiefs this season, and last season, Justin Reid did pretty well on some things. He was pretty good at snuffing out wide receiver screens behind the line. Jaden Hicks, if he can get to that level of awareness, if he can have the discipline that Justin Reid had, can be an absolute game changer. Sam McDowell says Ashton Gelati with some good reps during one-on-one against Josh Simmons. The rivalry continues in St. Joe. The rivalry between Josh Simmons and Ashton Gelati. Iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel, right? Ashton Gelati chases Minshew and forces him to toss it away in the back of the end zone. We're starting to see a lot more talk of Ashton Gelati during camp, in my opinion. Seeing him pop up time and again. Here is the RAS score for Ashton Gelati. It's easy to forget because he was kind of unheralded coming out of college. 9.75 out of 10 overall RAS score. The one thing that really knocks him is his 6'2.5" height. But that's the same size as Mike Danna, and Mike Danna has been the most solid, or tied for the most solid defensive end the Kansas City Chiefs have had in the Spagnuolo era. I think that George Karlaftis and Mike Danna are probably the most solid. Am I saying that George Karlaftis is the best? No, but solid. He has been Mike Danna for every rep. You know what you're getting out of him. But Ashton Gelati with a 6'2.5" size, 264 pounds, undersized in those couple numbers there. Although, 264 isn't that small in today's NFL. 24 reps on the bench press. Then he had a 36.5-inch vert, which is a 9.24 score out of 10, a 10-foot broad jump, had a 4.65 40-yard dash, which scores 9.26, had a 1.59 10-yard split, which scores 9.48, and had a 2.54 20-yard split, which I'm not real big on 20-yard splits, but that's a 9.97 out of 10 score. That means something. And where you really see him start to stand out is in these agility numbers. A 4.35 short shuttle drill scores 8.16 out of 10, and a 6.94 three-cone drill scores 9.63 out of 10. Those are good numbers. That seems to be something that Brett Veach and the scouting department value in defensive ends, is those cone drill numbers. So keep an eye on those as we enter another draft cycle here in Kansas City, a draft cycle where Charles Omenihu may be leaving, Mike Danna. I can't remember what year Mike Danna is on in his... I can't remember if this is the second year of his 2-year contract, right? So he might be leaving after this year. Probably going to be looking for more defensive end help in the draft. Mike Danna, speaking of, Mike Danna with 2 really good outside rushes on Driscoll. Ethan Driscoll is a UDFA offensive tackle out of Marshall, in his second season, he was on the Chiefs 53-man roster all of last year. Seems to be someone they like. So seeing Mike Dana get two good outside rushes on him is impressive because he has long arms and he is 6'8" tall, so he has some reach on him. Those are the notes that I have from day 11 of Kansas City Chiefs training camp. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. And as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.